Welcome into the Business on Purpose podcast, the daily briefing right here. I'm your host, Scott Beebe, the head coach and the founder of the Business on Purpose platform, where we wake up every day to do one thing, and that's liberate you, the small business owner, from the chaos of working in your business. Just got a great question from a small firm owner yesterday of a professional services firm. And as we were talking to him and doing some coaching time in one of our group coaching sessions, he asked this great question. He said, I'm in an area right now where a lot of national and regional firms are coming into the area and they're starting to buy up small local firms like mine. And so he had a number of colleagues, peers in the industry that were either selling out or had offers on the table to sell out. Now, some of you are thinking, my goodness, I would love to have an offer on the table. Well, some of this is just timing and where you're at. And he just happens to be in a hot market, in a hot service. And so a lot of people have offers on the table for what he's doing. And so the question was, I've got an offer on the table, but I really don't want to sell out. But my goodness, these regional companies are coming in. How do I differentiate myself from these regional companies? They've got big marketing budgets. They've got big, service staffs, production staff. And so how do I compete with somebody who looks like Goliath in my industry when I'm just a little David walking around? Now, you might be thinking the same thing. So a couple things that you've got to think through when you're looking around at what you perceive is competition. Now, I want to be very clear that you heard what I just said. It's what you perceive to be competition. The assumption is, if you run, let's say, a landscape company, the assumption is that every other truck or company that has the word landscape on the side is competition. We've got to switch our mindset. In fact, I would argue that you rarely have much competition if you begin to switch your mindset. What do I mean by that? So if you go into your industry, into your business, and just say, I'm a landscape company, I'm a home building company, I'm a widget supply company, then that's what you are. The reality is the things that we sell, and I want you to get this, the things that we sell are commodities. The things that we sell are commodities. Now, think of a commodity as something that's just widespread. It's available just about everywhere. Most people have access to it. And if you're listening in the Western world, usually that's going to be true in most settings. But even in developing worlds, you're still going to have things that are more commodities, like friendships if you live in a heavily populated area, people, beans, coffee. You might live in an area with a high saturation rate of noodle shops. Whatever it might be, those things are a commodity. And so I want you to look at your product as a commodity just for a second. So let's imagine, and we've got clients like this that build $1 million homes. You look at that and go, well, Scott, that's not a commodity. I'm going to argue with you and say, absolutely, it's a commodity. And here's why. It's because I can drive through that neighborhood. I'm an untrained construction guy. I don't know much about construction. I can drive through the neighborhood where you've built your $1 million home. And unless there is a sign and unless you're with me, I don't know if you built that home or if somebody else built that home. And so that home is a commodity. And so you start to see the widget that you offer. For instance, I'm a business coach. Business coaching is a commodity. In fact, I tell people all the time, a lot of things that are tools in terms of how to delegate something, how to process something, how to write a mission statement, those are commodities. You can go on Google and find that stuff. The uniqueness is how we bring all of those resources together. We put our own insight perspective on it. We've got a community engaged with it. And then we kick your rear end through implementation and accountability to make sure you get it done. Because the little known secret is coaching is less about the tool and it's more about accountability and implementation. And so our commodity is coaching. Now, Jesse Cole, who owns the Savannah Bananas, and if you go to episode, I think it's 85 of the Business on Purpose podcast, you got to go listen to his talk at one of our live events. And here's what Jesse said. He said, what business are you in, but what business are you really in? And so if you're a home builder of $1 million homes, you're in the home building business, but what business are you really in? And so I want to brag on a client of ours who has recently put together a customer engagement workflow. And here's what they realized, is they build beautiful houses. But guess what? so do 20 other builders in the neighborhood, build beautiful houses. And so you can argue all day that we've got better quality and we've got better quality. But guess what? They all use the same subcontractors. So the same guy that's building cabinets for one home builder is likely building cabinets for the other. And so how can you argue quality? But what you can argue is a customer experience in their workflow. And so the way that you handle, the way that you treat, the way that you lead the customer throughout the entire process, that's what you're selling. You're selling the customer process. That's your product. And so how do you differentiate yourself in the case of this small firm owner from these megacorps that are coming in? Is you do things differently with the customer, things that the megacorps would never consider doing, or things that they're just too big to do. Megacorps a lot of times are too big to write a handwritten thank you note. But my goodness, those things go a long way. Megacorps a lot of times are way too big just to go sit down, and if you're a home building company, to take somebody out and go set up a candlelit lunch on the back porch so this customer can enjoy the next stage of the construction of their home. It's the process. That's how you begin to differentiate yourself from what you perceive to be the competition. So now do you understand why I say that competition's a perception? If you realize that your customer process is unique to you, even though the commodity might be the same to what you classify as competition, the process will never be the same. Therefore, you have no competition. So if you're in a room with two other quote competitors, they're really not competitors because you're not selling the same thing. You're selling the same commodity, but you're not selling the same process. My goodness, I hope that helps you. I hope you start to see the service or the product that you sell as commodity because there's nothing new under the sun. But the uniqueness of your process, that's the product. That's your narrow brilliance. That's where you can dive in and be unique and be different. Hey, go check us out at mybusinessonpurpose.com. If you go to mybusinessonpurpose.com/vision, you can have full access to our vision module and start to craft and write your own vision story. Because where there is no vision, people scatter. Hey, thanks for joining us on the Business on Purpose Daily Briefing. Have a great day. We'll see you next time.